Hey brother! Guys, in Harry Potter there is one character that has read every book and seems to know everything, but what does Google want to know about her? Well, today we plan on answering exactly that question, because today we ask, why does Hermione Google autofill? Hey brother! If you're not familiar with the Google autofill game, it is super easy. We just go to Google, type in why does Hermione, and then each letter of the alphabet, and Google fills in the rest of the question, which I then answer with 100%-ish accuracy. Occasionally Google will throw in like an extra word or modifier at the beginning, but that's okay, we just roll with it. Let's begin! A, why does Hermione act drunk? Wait, what? When does she act drunk at all? Like, right here for like 4 seconds, putting her arms around the boys? Like, I mean, I guess if you go back to the previous scene, she's clearly put back more of her butter beer than the boys. But also, like, cut her some slack. Like, the Dark Lord has returned. People are getting murdered and kidnapped. Death Eaters are breaking out of Azkaban. I mean, like, I think she's earned a drink. Heck, those exact 4 seconds are cut short by Katie Bell getting all exorcisted by a cursed necklace. It's dangerous times. B, why was Hermione barely in Chamber of Secrets? Because if she was, the book would have been over way sooner. Hermione actually solves the entire thing before Ginny steals the diary back from Harry, and before Dumbledore is taken away. So if she had just managed to tell anyone, you know, besides Penelope Clearwater, they could have sorted the whole thing out. Could have just like let loose a ton of roosters in the school or something. What a weird way to kill a basilisk. C, why does Hermione call Ron Ronald?
It's on a suitcase, Ronald.
Yeah, so this is really more of a movie thing than a book thing, and it's definitely meant to show how close they are as friends and that they have a bit more of like an affectionate relationship. Like, you know, my wife calls me Jonathan, even though most people just call me Jay. Fun fact though, in the books, Ron is called Ronald a mere 20 times, and only once does Hermione ever say it, when he returns after leaving in Deathly Hallows, but she also calls him an arse in the exact same sentence, and I think she's trying to sound more like distant from him rather than closer in that instance, so it doesn't really translate well how they did it in the movies. But in case you were wondering, it's Dumbledore who says his full name the most at 6 times.
To Mr. Ronald Weasley for the best played game of chess that Hogwarts has seen these many years. 50 points.
Whenever Dumbledore refers to Ron and Hermione to Harry, he calls them like by their entire names, as if he's gonna get Hermione Granger confused with like some other Hermione at the school. D, why does Hermione disfigure Harry's face? This happens after Harry breaks the taboo in Deathly Hallows and says Voldemort's name, and suddenly the Golden Trio are just surrounded by snatchers. And realizing they can't get away, and in order to avoid them recognizing that they've just caught the Harry Potter, the chosen one, Hermione disfigures Harry's face to make him less recognizable. And it does work a little, but they're still like 90% sure it's him, but not sure enough to summon Voldemort, fearing his rage if they're wrong, which is just one more way Voldemort ends up defeating himself. E, why does Hermione erase her parents' memory? Mostly because she's about to be traveling around with Harry, and she is a known best friend of Harry, so she suspects that the Death Eaters will try to find her as a way of getting to Harry, and will therefore try to torture her parents as a way to get to her, as a way to get to Harry. In which case, it might have been a good idea to hide their parents. Fun fact, her mom in the movies, Catelyn Stark. Anyway, Hermione alters their memories and then has them move to Australia, where hopefully they can't be found. And even more hopefully, I guess flu powder doesn't exist, because, you know, just whoop. But also, like, not for nothing, I think Hermione might have hit herself with the spell too, because like later on when they fight the Death Eaters in the coffee shop, Harry suggests they wipe their memory. "You're the boss," said Ron, sounding profoundly relieved, "but I've never done a memory charm." "Nor have I," said Hermione, "but I know the theory." So what'd you do to your parents then? "I'll just tell Harry I erased my parents' memory. That way he won't question us going with him, because they'll see how serious we are." F, why does Hermione fall in love with Ron? I'm telling you guys, she accidentally hit herself with that memory charm and just completely forgets Harry is even an option. G, why does Hermione get awkward when introducing Luna? Yeah, this was such an odd deviation from the book. So in the movie, after Harry first sees a Thestral, he encounters Luna, and then Hermione introduces her to the group in just an extremely awkward fashion, even calling her Loony by mistake.
Everyone, this is Loony Love.
fairly out of character for her, as Luna is not in their year or house. There's like really no reason why Hermione would know her and not the other two. And it is in complete contrast with the books, where it is Ginny who first introduces Luna to the group, and she is very polite about her. Although she does call her Loony, but just not to her face. And in the book, Hermione conversely seems to know the least about Luna's identity, as she insults the Quibbler outright before being informed by Luna that her father is the editor. So yeah, I really don't know why they made this change, especially because Ginny is in the movie a lot and plays a big role and goes to the ministry with them. So yeah, just like all around bad call if you ask me. H, why does Hermione hate lavender? Hermione's more of like an autumn color palette, and lavender's sort of that like light purple spring, so it just doesn't go with her, you know? Actually, I think what this question means is, why does she hate Lav? And I dare say it's much more like jealousy than it is hatred, because Hermione's just crushing hard on Ron, and like Ron's too thick to realize it.
Hermione's got nice skin.
I, why was Hermione in Gryffindor instead of Ravenclaw? Fantastic question. The Sorting Hat actually does take a long time with Hermione, trying to determine which house she should go in between Ravenclaw and Gryffindor. It spends a solid 4 minutes on this decision, just shy of like a true hat stall, which is if it takes longer than 5 minutes. Which, fun fact, McGonagall actually was a real hat stall between the same two houses. But Hermione in Gryffindor is a great example of how the Sorting Hat makes decisions by focusing on what the students value versus how they are. Like, often those things align, but not always. So while Hermione is very intelligent and obviously cares about school, she values courage and bravery even more.
Books and cleverness. There are more important things. Friendship and bravery.
The same can honestly kind of be said about Ron and Harry, as it's kind of a common belief that all of the trio represent the other houses. So like Ron represents Hufflepuff and Harry Slytherin, but they all actually belong in Gryffindor. J, why is Hermione jealous of Lavender? First of all, thank you so much for addressing me by name, and obviously the answer is because Lavender is way better than Hermione at divination and at drawing hearts. Nailed it. But mostly it's because Lavender is much better at being open with her feelings toward Ron. K, why does Hermione kiss Harry? Because she's secretly in love with him. Duh. Actually, no. In fact, they do not share a true blue kiss in the series. But when Ron returns in Deathly Hallows and confronts the locket, it manifests his greatest fears and/or insecurities, which include the idea that Hermione would favor Harry over him. A not entirely baseless notion, because as soon as he leaves, they're just like dancing together, and I don't know, man. L, why does Hermione lie about the troll? After the trio defeats the mountain troll on Halloween in their first year, McGonagall comes in prepared to scold the pants right off of Harry and Ron when Hermione speaks up and claims that she thought she could take on the troll by herself, having read all about them, but that she only survived because Harry and Ron showed up to save her. When in fact she is alone in the bathroom crying because of Ron's own words that she has no friends, which at that point in the story is true. But Hermione lies because they did just save her life by breaking rules, and in that moment she realizes that sometimes breaking rules is indeed for the greater good. So she repays them by doing the exact same thing and lying to McGonagall to protect them from punishment. And the rest is history. Why does Hermione have a mustache? What? Hermione doesn't have a mustache. That's me, because you guys are making me grow one for Make Jay Grow a Mustache in May, a challenge we are doing at SuperCarlinBrothers here, where I am growing a mustache for 1 minute for every new follower I get over on Instagram, every new email sign up we get at SuperCarlinBrothers.com, and every dollar donated to stop sarcoidosis over on our fundraiser page, link in the description down below. As a quick update on the challenge, how it's going to work is that for the entire month of May, I'm gonna grow a mustache. And during that time, you guys can accrue those minutes to make me continue growing the mustache after May. So far, we're like a week into June, which is also when we're gonna be on tour through the Griffin tour. So all of those pictures are now just gonna be glorious. Now for the real M. M, why does Hermione marry Ron? Boy, you guys, I always think that we are in the minority about Harry and Hermione ending up together, but like, geez, is Google very confused by Hermione and Ron getting married. It's nice to know we're not alone. But that's not to say like they're a bad pairing. I mean, as far back as their second year, Ron seems like a little jealous of Hermione's crush on Lockhart.
But Miss Hermione Granger knew that my secret ambition is to rid the world of evil.
And stands up to defend her against Malfoy, calling her a mudblood, even though he ends up making himself vomit slugs. He is also the only one to stand up to Snape in their third year when he calls her an insufferable know-it-all.
Or do you take pride in being an insufferable know-it-all?
He's got a point, you know.
And then for like 3 years, they're just playing a really long game of relationship chicken with each other, mostly demonstrating their affection towards one another by the obvious lengths they go to make each other jealous, which is weird because they both seem to realize this is the case, but also neither is ever willing to admit that they like the other one to each other. So it's not the healthiest relationship, but also because they are both participating in it, they're like kind of perfect for each other in that way, if you don't think about it too hard. You see how they're both toxic? That's how you can tell they're good for each other. And why does Hermione never go home? What do you mean? She totally goes home for Christmas in their first year and then like pretty much never again, except for summer, and really mostly just those first 4 summers. I mean, after starting school. We'll call it maybe like more like 3.5 for the Quidditch World Cup.
Hermione, when did you get here?
So yeah, I guess after she starts at Hogwarts, Hermione's home again for like, what, roughly 6 to 7 months total over the next 7 years? Is that right? What I'm hearing is that Mr. and Mrs. Granger basically raised an 11-year-old, sent her off to school, and then, a few years later she came back and was like, Mom and Dad, I'm president of magic. To which they're all like, who are you? We're dentists in Australia, mate. Or, assuming she did lift the memory spell because she does know how to do it, that's amazing. Parenting is easy. Oh, why does Hermione obliviate her parents' minds? Well, as stated earlier, she's not familiar with the theory, apparently, but maybe the real reason she does it is just so they forget how much she wasn't around. As far as Mr. and Mrs. Granger are concerned, she was home at every holiday, and it was a very peaceful time, and she was a very loving daughter, and, didn't prefer time with her friends over seeing them ever. P, why does Hermione punch Malfoy? I mean, as if she needs a reason. Between constantly calling her a mudblood and wishing literal death upon her at the hands of the basilisk,
I hope it's Granger.
I'd say Malfoy has kind of earned it. Although, in the books, it's actually just a slap, while in the movie, they upgrade it to a full-on punch. But it's basically because he's continuing to mock Hagrid after his father has pretty much sentenced Buckbeak to death for, basically no reason.
It's killed me. It's killed me.
But as much as I can understand Hermione's position here, there are better ways to deal with anger, which is something we can all work on thanks to today's sponsor, BetterHelp. Oftentimes, frustration is born from that feeling that you've got something you need to get off your chest, but being confrontational can be really hard. Can it? It's almost like there's an inner threshold that builds and builds, and when it finally reaches a breaking point, you just feel like more justified in whatever outburst comes next. This is something I personally work on in therapy all the time, like just trying to recognize when something is bothering me and that tension is building, and then preventing the boiling point from ever spilling over by having hard but meaningful discussions. Because that is what therapy does. It builds positive coping skills, finds outlets for emotions, and can help you set boundaries that stop these feelings at the source. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Get whatever it is off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/super today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/super. Link in the description down below. Or just punch Malfoy. Q, why does Hermione quit drinking in Half-Blood Prince? Because she finishes her drink. R, why does Hermione remove himself from pictures? Okay, Google, are we sure you're not the drunk one here? I mean, I don't even know what this is in reference to. Hermione does not remove herself from pictures at all. Like, I mean, I guess Harry does sometimes try not to be seen in pictures, like with Lockhart. Like, is that what this is aiming at?
I think it's in Deathly Hallows after she's like erased herself from
The parents' memories, and she disappears from photos. Okay, so I don't think she actually, that's gotta be what it is. So she doesn't actually remove herself from the photos. They're just supposed to be representing her parents' new inability to see her in the photos because they have forgotten about her. S, why does Hermione smell freshly mown grass? Okay, so this happens in Slughorn's first class in Half-Blood Prince when Hermione is smelling the love potion Amortentia, which is supposed to smell differently to everyone according to what attracts them.
Freshly mown grass and parchment and spearmint toothpaste.
And then kind of just trails off before revealing what the last one was, which has since been revealed to smell like Ron's hair. And is just concealed as sort of a coy way of letting you, the audience, know that Hermione is afraid of revealing her attraction to Ron and to the rest of the class. But here's the thing. Freshly mown grass is an exceptionally un-Weasley smell. Wizards don't mow grass. They don't use lawn mowers. Do you know who does? Muggles. The Dursleys. Or not really the Dursleys, because they make Harry do it. While Dudley lolled around watching and eating ice cream, Harry cleaned the windows, washed the car, mowed the lawn, trimmed the flower beds, pruned and watered the roses, and repainted the garden bench. Hermione has one friend who mows the grass. Just saying. T, why does Hermione turn into a cat? Right, so in their second year, the trio is brewing some Polyjuice potions so they can go interrogate Malfoy about who's opening the Chamber of Secrets. And in order for the potion to work, you have to add in a bit of whoever you are turning into. Harry and Ron get hair from Crabbe and Goyle, and Hermione thinks she gets a hair from Millicent Bulstrode, but turns out it was the hair of a cat, which she puts into the potion and then drinks. Polyjuice potion doesn't work with animals, so she ends up as that sort of like half cat person. U, why does Hermione use the time turner? Well, clearly because as a 13-year-old, she's never experienced burnout. Hey, wow, look at that. This is our 1400 video. Seriously, I remember feeling like having 8 classes in high school was a lot to keep up with, but Hermione as a 13-year-old is optionally choosing 12 classes and responsibility over time itself. Basically, there just isn't enough time in the week for her to take every single class Hogwarts offers, so she is given access to a time turner so she can repeat certain hours so she can take extra classes. And it's never stated outright, but since both Percy Weasley and Barty Crouch Jr. both end up with 12 OWLs at Hogwarts, we have also kind of assumed that they must have had access to time turners as well. How else are they taking all 12 classes?
I happen to be a school prefect.
V, why did Hermione and Victor break up? You know, that is an interesting question because having read the books a lot of times, I'm never under the impression that Hermione and Victor Crumb are dating in any kind of like official capacity. Yes, they go to the Yule Ball together, and Ginny later confirms that they did do some snogging, which is still the worst word ever. And we know they do write to each other some, but like dating? Boyfriend, girlfriend? Like, I don't know, it just never feels very official. My read has always been that like, yes, they were attracted to each other, but at the end of the day, distance is a real thing, so it's not really possible, but hey, let's keep in touch and who knows what the future holds. Then at Bill and Fleur's wedding, Crumb is like, yo, it's the future. And Ron is like, whoa there, broseph, night to meet ya. Actually, my name's Future, last name Husband. He said it exactly like that, exactly. You guys know Ronald. Although it's also possible that like the bar for what's considered dating in the wizarding world is like really low because, I mean, Harry considers Cho his ex, but like, I certainly wouldn't. Like, you guys awkwardly kissed once and went on one really bad date. Like, she was hardly your girlfriend, Harry. Oddly, nothing for W, X, or Y, which is surprising, like nothing about a certain Weasley family or the Yule Ball Google. I'm telling you guys, Google really needs to lay off the butterbeer. Z, why did Hermione say the Grindylows? Sorry, what was that?
The Grindylows.
One more time?
The Grindylows.
So basically Hermione is just saying this with a French accent to mock Fleur because, well, I don't know. Maybe because Ron asked her to the Yule Ball?
You know, I like it when they walk.
It kind of comes off like she's saying, ha, French girl, look how far being pretty got you in the lake. It's honestly a little unbecoming of Hermione, but maybe it's less out of character than I think.
Everyone, this is Looney Love.
What's she doing here?
I'd ask you the same question.
Rule number 1, don't make Hermione jealous. Rule number 2, don't be her parents and expect to see her ever. But there you go, guys. That is everything Google wanted to know about Hermione Granger. These socks are amazing! Guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to leave a like on it if you haven't already, and subscribe so you don't miss any future Google autofill action from us. Let us know what other characters would you like us to answer questions about in the towel section down below. But Ben, otherwise, until next time, I will see you in another life.